secretly building like a recording studio in the bedroom, but don't say anything. Press play on there. That one starts. This one starts. We figured this out. We pressed the wrong button before. Now it works. Let's see. Over here, we got that one. We can also do this as well. Look. So, epilogue. Situation is normal because everything is now working. Even the Boolean tracker. My bad. I just had the delay turned on. How peculiar. But we do have the 15.9 milliseconds kind of thing. In fact, we got it set to 26 to get rid of the audio delay. But look, we've gotten two new things. And a third new thing, because we've got like a shelf that we're going to put up here to disguise the recording studio further. It's not expanding any larger. Yeah, so multi-clock. Now, it's good because, without using the word effectively, we have... I figured out how to set this up better. So what I've done was on my MPC project where I had so many plugins open that it was bogging everything down. So basically without basically just removed the whole lot. So I removed all the plugins and a lot of them weren't doing really anything anyway. So all of a sudden the MPC is working a lot better. And at the same time, we can use the standalone MPC as a standalone unit. You could hear the sound coming out of the internal speaker there. So we've got all our samples loaded in for the Star Wars competition.
Surrender immediately. Everything's under control. Situation normal. Surrender immediately.
So that's going well because we can do this like.
Everything's under.
Very easily. So basically we've got the MPC with project loaded on there and it's not completely overloaded. So because we've got like a memory condition now which is about 50%, CPU which is just less than 50, so much better because it was struggling before. Now however, MPC as in standalone Live X1, what have you, even in standalone mode, it does not like swing from either the multi-clock, which is generated on Midi time clock, or from the future Retro Swynx. Doesn't play ball. So the best thing to do is don't use the swing externally. It has its own swing internally. A bit of a bummer because the king of swing ain't that jazzy, is it? So whereas Elektron can really this Elektron loves a bit of swing, as we'll demonstrate. Oh, we need the master clock to run it. That's the internal clock, right? So it's not going to run it. So we hit over here, we mute this lot, mute, turn that one down, and then hit the. We'll stop the acid machine. Or actually, we'll play the acid machine. So swing machine. Yeah. So beautifully works the Elektron. Digitone with the same sort of setup works okay, although the internal effects can get upset using the swing. So that's one thing to mention. So we're tending not to put as much swing on here, but with the dry hi-hats works lovely on the Elektron there. Also, the 777's not really a swingy. You can get away with some swing, but like 75%, it's not going to enjoy it. So we've got it unswinged on a. We've got it on a separate channel here, so we can have swing on one channel and not the other. And also another swingy thing is that the multi-clock here is, I mean, it's an expensive box, right? But it's German, I think. It's German inside. And the swing in there is more like a Barkhouse swing rather than the American jazz funk swing of the Future Retro. I don't know why the swing algorithm is slightly different, and I prefer, this is my opinion anyway, I prefer the swing from the Future Retro. I would say it's more loose and it's a bit more organic than the swing from the multi-clock, and that's exactly why I've got the Analog 4 piped through the Future Retro swing, because it's just, I think it sounds better. So the other big thing is other big things. So we got synchronization at last, and with each channel you can change the offset, and you can also change the, so in this you can see that an offset is set for a particular channel. If we come out of that menu by pressing one of the buttons that I can't remember, I have to enter that because I think I was playing around with it, that's why. So like, go back to home and you can see our BPM. So this generates a master clock. It takes an audio input from the DAW, which I'm using. So that's what I was saying earlier, I'm using Standalone on the MPC, but at the same time we've got MPC on the DAW, basically just an empty project loaded. So it's a completely empty project, but just with the plugin that runs the multi-clock running. So we've got a very tight sort of, the laptop's struggling with overheating issues. We're going to deal with that later. But at the end of the day, empty project running just the plugin to provide the sync for the audio, and that goes into the RME. That's converted into Midi clock through shenanigans, and then it's sent out on the 4 channels, swing or not to swing, and delay or not to delay using the offsets per channel, like as demonstrated here. So if we press on, if we just play that, and we want, what do we want? We want sound from this, but I don't understand why it's not coming out. I can't remember how to do this. What have I done? That's peculiar. It's not turned down, it's definitely turned on. What did I press last? Don't know. I think it comes, the sound for that comes through 7 and 8. Oh look, sounds there. So something I done. What have I done? Oh, there you go. Look, the filter's just down. That's all. We're not in gate. And we're on the wrong preset, and that was turned on. There we go. Look, it's just turned down. That's all. How confusing. There we go. So we've got that back. So you can hear the swing now in comparison. This one's not going to be swinged to the one that is swinged. Yeah. There you go. So we've seen that before, but at the minute the clock is coming, well, not the clock, but the audio plugin like a SMPTE plugin. It's sending the sound through the mixer. We're not hearing that because it's on 11 and 12. There it is. Comes out of that jack into here. It's converted into a MIDI clock, and then it's the clock inside this is much tighter than the one in the computer because the software generates the MIDI clock inside the computer. And it can, like, you know, my Dropbox or an email comes in and all of a sudden it's like, oh, we don't care about the clock, we care more about like the Twitter feed. Something that you know, it's difficult on these modern operating systems. They're quite busy and notifications. You've got to shut all that stuff off as much as you can. But at the end of the day, MIDI timing clocks, unless you've got some expensive PCI cards and like a tech wizard to set it all up, it's difficult. So this is like the next best way of doing it. And many studios employ one of these boxes. So there's a few different ones on the market. This is the one I chose to go with for the moment. There's a dearer one and there's a cheaper one, you know, and this one's sort of in between. There's still a few $100 there. But at the end of the day, sync starts the DAW, plays the thing, plays the external gear. And what it boils down to is, once we've actually finished a song, because we might be actually compose something now, is that when we're ready to record, this DAW has nothing in it completely. We've got the MPC playing just out the 2 tracks into the mix. That's all we need it to do. We just got, like, you know, our different things. That's turned down, probably on the back. Don't actually have that in the mixer yet. Thanks, Chewy. But basically, our song is ready, and we can do not only one thing, we can do 2 things now, which is mighty impressive. We're not even done this yet. So when it's ready, we'll hit record, but we can hit record on the mixer as well, because the mixer is actually a multi-track recording unit through the wonders of technology. And Zoom, those Japanese wonder wizards, have made it possible to record onto an SD card in the back. At the same time, though, this unit will act as an audio interface. But the clever thing is, so recording on the computer, we just hit record here and we can record like our 8 tracks or more. You could record, but we're going to record 8 tracks because we're going to keep it to sort of a minimum. You can actually record more on this board, but it gets complicated because we're using 9 and 10 and 11, 12 as like AUX to send to our RME. So we're tying up on the USB 3412. You with me? So effectively sacrificing inputs 9, 10 and 11 and 12. But if we weren't using the synchronization gear and running this with the internal clock, then we could get back tracks 9, 10 and 11 and 12, because we wouldn't need this one is effectively, there, I said it. I've avoided saying it for a long time, but there it is. If I go to, like, you can hear, oh, there's a good example. So if when I press play, there it is. So you can hear that. I've got it set up with a metronome as a counting. Now that sound is actually the sound coming from the computer, from the DAW, and it's on 9 and 10. So it's coming in through USB 1 and 2 onto that channel. And I can turn that down. See, look, you can't hear it now. And then the equipment starts, or turn it up and you can hear the counting. Yeah, so that works lovely. So, but what I'm trying to get to is we can record on here, and if anything goes wrong, we're recording on the mixer as well. But on the mixer as well, you can record the master mix as well. So you can record all the individuals plus the master, and record on the computer. And if anything goes wrong with the computer and you get like a beautiful take, and it's like, oh, I really like that one. It's like the dream. I moved my knob and, you know, it felt good. I pressed the button, you know, it's recorded, and so as long as the computer doesn't crash and stop the clock and things, you know, we should get a recording take at the end of the day, and then our tracks will be on here, and then we can do like a final mix down, because I've only got 2 hands. One's holding a phone. But effect, I'm not saying it again. The tracks are on here. We can mix them down and just polish. You know, we can fade out the song and we can fade the song in, and you know, there's a few more things you can do than that. But that's really the job I want to do. I'll program the song and you know, fade in, fade out, record the song, done. So there's one thing I've not mentioned yet, which is added sort of music making thing, and it's probably number one thing which is gonna make a difference in this sort of workflow. Is it's a juicy word of the moment, isn't it? Workflow. Everyone's on about their workflows. But effectively, damn it. This board, we can listen live to all the inputs before it goes into the computer, just straight out of literally a headphone jack into the speaker. So we don't get any delay or lag, which you would if you was monitoring via the DAW. And that's always been a headache for me, because you have the latencies, normally around 20, depending on the buffer, and if you've got effects plugins loaded and all this, all of a sudden you've got 512 samples divided by 48 per millisecond. Work that out. So I don't know, 25 milliseconds, because how it works is, if you're running 48 kilohertz, 48 samples equals 1 millisecond, and 1 millisecond is like it's like a tenth of a second, I think, isn't it, or a hundredth? But whatever, it's quite a lot. You can hear it when you've got 10 milliseconds. You'll definitely hear it. Yeah, 10 milliseconds is like a hundredth of a second. Like, it's like stopwatch, and we're doing hurdles, and you know, and somebody won by like 1/10 of a second, sort of thing. So 10 milliseconds is 1/10, I think. Don't quote me on that, but yeah, it's about that. So you'll get like a delay. So effectively, we can monitor through the board without the need for the computer. Get the computer, throw it in the bin, switch to internal clock here, and we don't even need the computer on. The computer's just here to make it very easy for me to hit the space bar. Yeah. And play everything, because otherwise I'd have to reach out here and press play on this one. Obviously, it's so much harder. But at the end of the day, you're tying the computer's tied into the system, and we can actually do what we want to achieve, hopefully now. And you know, we'll do a song on here, we'll do a song on here. We'll get this one to play like a chain mode Elektron, because there's no song mode. On here we can put a song as well, like a few patterns in a loop. On here we'll just play that one live, although there is a song on there as well. Yeah, and we'll put it together and we'll make like a remix. All right, cheers.